Hello and welcome back to Memories of a Musician. I'm your host, Vito DeSalvo. Once again, we have a great program for you this evening, and it's featuring a musician from Naples, Florida. His name is Stephen DeLadurantey. And I met Steve. Steve is a trumpet player, besides many other things that he's done. But he is a trumpet player, and I remember somehow hiring him for one of the concerts that I was doing, and actually I think a few different concerts and programs, shows that I've done in Naples over the years. And through that, Steve was very helpful to me in securing other musicians from Naples, because in his position with the church, North Naples Church, as the music director there, he, of course, hires a lot of musicians and knows all the best players in the town. And there are many, many fine musicians. So I'd like to first show you a picture. And I'm going to tell you actually who all these folks are. This was a concert we did in Naples I believe in about 2019. And if I start on the left, there were three people that I brought from Pittsburgh for this concert. And you'll see me on the far left. And then next to me, holding the bass guitar, is Tony DePaulis from Pittsburgh. Great player. He toured with me for 5-6 years with an international artist. Next to Tony, is Kelly Utterback, who is a pianist from Naples. Very fine piano player, plays for the Naples Opera and just about anything. She can play classical, whatever you have, she covers. She's a terrific player and musician. Then Daniela Pasquini Shiriak. Daniela, holding the flowers there, was the female, the lead singer for my band, We Three, for about the last 5 years or so. And I brought her down to Naples to sing. And next to her is Marco Fiorante, who also lives in Pittsburgh now, but of course he's from Puglia, Italy, and my wife and I helped secure his visa to come to the United States to work. And next to him is, I believe his name is Harry Pardee. He's a guitar player, and I think his nickname is Skip, and I think he might also play trumpet or something. I'm going to have to ask Steve. He'll fix that when I get on, but he played guitar for us. Next to him is Bob Powers playing. You see he's holding the euphonium. He plays, that's his main instrument. He also plays trombone, doubles on trombone. He lives at that time was living in Naples after playing, I believe, about 31 years with the President's Own, the Army Band in Washington, D.C. And he just recently moved back to the Virginia area, I guess, to be close to his family, his grandkids there. And then next to Bob is Steve, see, holding the trumpet there. That's our guest this evening. Next to Steve, that is Craig Christman. Craig Christman plays saxophone, flute, very well-known woodwind player in the Naples and South Florida area. Next to him is our percussionist, Austin Gomez. And next to Austin is Steve Lauster, who was our drummer and also played some percussion. So that was a group that we had for a concert. It was a wonderful program that we had of music between the singers and all the great players. So that was in about 2019. And also, before I bring Steve on, I put together a little montage just to give you a sense of what Steve does in the music. And the first piece you're going to hear is by a group that he put together called the Naples Brass. And he, of course, is the director of that group. And they do a lot at the church where he works and where he is the director. So let me play this montage for you. It's a large, I think the largest marching band in the state of Florida. That Steve had at Gulf Coast High School. And so now, to give you a little bit of background about Steve, I'm going to read his bio. Stephen DeLadurantey is an accomplished educator, conductor, and performer with over 2 decades of leadership in the Florida music community. He currently serves as the Director of Music and Worship Arts at North Naples Church, where he oversees a large-scale department, manages a staff of over 10, and produces a major concert series and a sophisticated multi-million-dollar live stream broadcast. Stephen's career is rooted in a distinguished academic background at Florida State University, where he earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees in music education with highest honors. Between 1999 and 2014, he built a reputation for excellence as a director of bands at Deltona, Golden Gate, and Gulf Coast high schools. His ensembles consistently earned superior ratings, and his marching bands graced national stages such as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. His dedication to pedagogy earned him the 2007 Teacher of the Year at Golden Gate High School and the prestigious Golden Apple Award for Collier County. A national board certified teacher and a member of Phi Beta Mu, Stephen remains a vital figure in the Florida Bandmasters Association, serving as a judge and leading the adjudication certification program. His influence extends beyond the classroom through DeLadurantey Music LLC and the summer music camps he has operated since 2005, which now serve over 400 students annually. As a versatile performer and entrepreneur, Stephen has founded several professional ensembles, including Naples Brass and Hard Drive Horns. His work as a trumpet player and conductor has been featured on 3 full-length albums with Mark Custom Recordings and across 6 PBS specials. Whether conducting a full orchestra or performing a solo for a weekly service, Stephen continues to be a driving force for musical excellence in Southwest Florida. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring Steve onto the program. Here he is. Hi, Steve. Good. How you doing today?
Hey, Vito. How are you?
Good to see you too. It's been a while, huh?
Yep.
How are you doing these days? Busy at the church?
It's just another day in paradise here. We're things kind of same stuff, different day, and things are going well, but busy. It's that time of year.
That's great. And I want to note that I'm an implant here in Naples. I lived in Pittsburgh for about 70 years, and then I came down to Naples. But you were born and raised here, and really went to college in Florida. You've lived here all your life. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I was born in Naples, and I grew up here. Went to school for music in Tallahassee. Taught for 5 years in Central Florida, and then came back down. So I've lived in Naples probably for about 40 years. Give or take here and there. But this is home for me.
And your home is paradise for sure.
That's right. We joke that the furthest north I'll ever live is Immokalee Road. I'll never go north of Immokalee Road.
That's funny. That's good. I like it. And I agree with you too. I wish I'd have done. Well, and it's funny because I went to the University of Miami for graduate school, and I was married at the time. My wife and I moved down there. We lived there almost 3 years in South Miami. We just absolutely loved it. But it was one of those things that was kind of strange, but we had 4 healthy grandparents up north in Pittsburgh, and we were talking about starting a family. And we thought, geez, it'd be nice for our kids to grow up like we did around our family, grandparents and cousins and all that. So that's what we did. We decided to move back, and then I got into teaching there in Pittsburgh as well. I was a teacher up there like you were. But anyhow, it's great. I'm really impressed with everything that you've done. Everything you do is excellent, from the teaching and the bands and uh, you're playing, and of course, and conducting, and all the programs that you do at the church, everything. It's just amazing that everything you do is first class, top notch.
Well, thank you.
So let me ask you a question. When did you begin studying music, and what was your first instrument, and what inspired you to take a musical instrument?
Sure. My father is a musician, so he was a professional drummer here in Naples. He played, and a lot of the groups that you're hearing, the recordings, he still plays. He's my main drum set player for a lot of the groups.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so like on My Favorite Things, that's him on drum set, and he plays with the rock and roll band. But he was a drummer growing up, and so for me, it was, I had a grandfather that was a musician, and my whole father's side of the family were all musicians. So it was kind of a given. You're going to be in band in middle school. There's just kind of no questions about it.
I see. I see.
And I took piano lessons at a young age, and to one of my biggest regrets in my life, and a lot of people say this, is quitting piano lessons after about 2 years. But got into middle school band, and I had a very dynamic teacher there, and I got into high school band and had a very, very good experience there. And I actually had no desire to go into music in college. I was enjoying what I was doing. I was having a lot of fun, and we did a lot of great things with my high school. I was very, very lucky to have that program. And I was going to go into the University of Florida, and I wanted to be a doctor. So I applied to Florida, got in, I paid a deposit on a dorm, and I was going to major in biology. And in December of my senior year of high school, my high school band director said to me, he said, you should think about doing music, and you should think about going to Florida State. And I thought about it for a week or two, and I thought, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And I was the very last audition for the Florida State School of Music. I did it for a video camera for a grad student in West Palm Beach. So I think all the things that could have gone wrong. And I got in, and then from there on out, it just I really fell in love with the idea of being a musician for a living.
That's great. And if you had become a doctor, I would have been one of your first patients.
There you go.
You'd have been a great doctor, I'm sure.
I never got that deposit back from my dorm in University of Florida. I think UF still owes me $300, I think, from 1993.
That's funny. Yeah. There you go. So what would you say? I have a picture I want to show. Let me get this together here. What would you say? At what point you'd say that music really became a passion? That's you at Florida State, right?
Yes. It's one of the halftime shows.
Yeah, that's a nice picture. Their colors, red and gold, or red and white?
Garnet and gold.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good picture there. You are young there, I can see.
I'm about 30 years younger there.
Yeah. So what would you say? I mean, growing up with a musical family, of course, I think music obviously becomes a great part of your life. And when did it really become a passion for you, that you knew that this is what you were going to do?
Well, there was two moments where I can recall. When I came into high school, I was not the greatest trumpet player in the world. I didn't practice a lot when I was in middle school, and I kind of got by on having a good ear, and I was okay. And high school, and it was in a big high school program, and there was like 20 trumpet players or something like that. And I remember we had to audition for seats in our band class, and I was like number 18 out of 20.
Wow.
And I just remember thinking, I can't have this. I can't let this. There's no possible way that I'm going to allow this to happen. And so I started practicing, and I really started practicing. And then I started taking trumpet lessons, and I remember I started keeping a notebook about what I was doing every single day. And I remember over the summer, I practiced 90 minutes a day, every day for the whole summer, as a 14-year-old. And then the very next year, I was third chair in the high school band program. So I think that right there, that was a moment where I thought, I like this. I need to be better at it. there's no excuse for me not being better than I am. But then
Sure.
I saw how the hard work really paid off, and I thought this is actually fun. I really enjoy this. So
Hmm.
that was kind of one moment, and like I said earlier, my high school band program was a very accomplished program, so there was a lot of opportunities there. The jazz band was very good, and there was an orchestra and a concert band and a marching band, and we traveled, and so I think all of that rolled into one. It was just very enjoyable to be in music,
Hmm.
and um, I think when all that happened, and then my high school director talked to me about doing music for a living or to go to college for it, it kind of hit me. I thought that sounds like a lot of fun, and I felt at that point that I was just really starting to kind of open the door to see what was out there, and I wanted to do a lot more. So that was my goal. I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. And if it just doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm gonna at least I would love to try.
That's a great story about the practicing and how you went from 18th chair to third. And you try to tell kids all the time, if you would only practice a little bit every day and just work at it, you'll do much better. But some kids don't get that.
Oh yeah,
As you know, I'm sure.
sure. I do. I do.
But you have to. It's funny, but some kids when they play a note, it means a lot. That note just feels good, sounds good. I like this. I'm enjoying this. Like you said, you enjoyed it. And other kids, they'll play it, but it's just not the same feeling and not the same reaction.
Sure.
And so that's why you have so many kids that really don't work at it the way they should. And you and I, as teachers, know the potential is there for them to do well if they put the time in. But if they don't put the time in, they're not going anywhere, right? That's
That's right.
just that's what it is. So I have a picture that I want to show too. Here, this one here. This is like one of I guess, your first teaching position.
That's it's actually, believe it or not, it's actually my second teaching job. And
Okay.
my very first job, I graduated in December, and at that point, there was only 3 jobs available in the whole state of Florida opening in January because it's the middle of the year, and there was an assistant band director job open at Palm Bay High School I guess it would have been January of 2000. And so I applied for that job, got that job. So I was an assistant band director for 1 semester.
I
And
see.
then I applied for Deltona High School, which opened up, which is this picture. So I had only
Uh,
been teaching for 6 months at this point. I think they
I
took
see.
me probably during band camp or so. So I was literally a week on the job at this particular school. But this was in Central Florida, right between Daytona and Orlando, and that was
Uh,
my first real job. Basically, I was there for 5 years.
cool. It says energetic band staff. There you go.
Yeah, Veronica was the flag instructor. It was a smaller program. I mean, I had 120 in the program, so we say smaller, but in retrospect, it's really not a small. It's a decent sized program for anywhere in the country.
That's absolutely right, because to me, I've seen marching bands that had 30 in them, and that's a small program, but 120 is very respectable. Yeah.
Yeah, I did some research about this is 20 years ago when I was at Gulf Coast. We took all of the sizes. I had access to the numbers for every high school in the state of Florida, and we basically figured out that the average size high school band, this is 20 years ago, it's probably smaller now, but it was 89 people at that point.
Oh, well,
That was the
okay.
average size program
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
2005-ish.
That's amazing. So I have a photo too I want to show. This is, I guess, early in your teaching career too. I like that. You're very young. You're addressing the group. Looks like maybe they're getting ready for a concert or a show, whatever. Huh?
Yeah, that's the Deltona High School band room, and that's probably right. It's either probably right before or right after a football game, or maybe it was our marching assessment or something. But everybody would get in and we would talk for a few minutes and kind of get our minds right. And they were great kids. I mean, those kids now are, oh my gosh, they're probably in mid 30s, maybe
Oh,
late 30s. But I still communicate with a whole bunch of them. through Facebook and other social media, they reach out, and I talk with a whole bunch of them on a routine basis still.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and that'll continue. I do the same, and I have students that are. I just had a student on my program recently. I believe he is 54 years old. So I have students in their 50s.
Wow.
Many that stay in touch with me too, and I've had several students on this podcast, several former students, I should say, on the podcast. So yeah, I exactly know what you mean about that. You as an educator, you've done a lot of great things. This band, when you got to Gulf Coast, was that already a pretty big program there?
It was a large program. It was I was at Golden Gate, and I had opened up Golden Gate High School. So I was at Deltona, and then I went back and got a master's degree at Florida State, came down, opened up Golden Gate High School, had been there for 5 years,
Okay.
and was happy there, and I wasn't planning on going anywhere, and we were really building things there. And Gulf Coast High opened up, and it was one of those situations where the program was big already. It was not a there was some struggles with just, I guess, with excellence. There was some struggles that there was a lot of kids, but the
quality of the program.
Quality of the program was not there, and
Okay.
so it was kind of it was kind of, I don't want to say it was a big challenge when I first got there, because
Okay.
we had to really kind of instill some some expectations. But great kids, I mean, just great kids and great parents and a great school. And it was the largest band program in the state of Florida.
Well,
My first year there, I had over 400 kids in the program. And I was the only teacher. I was the only teacher there, the only band. I had no assistant or anything like that.
Well, with the marching band, you did, right?
I had some people that would come out for rehearsals. Like I had a drum instructor. Yeah, I had a drum instructor. I had 2 wonderful auxiliary people and 4 or 5 like marching techs with me. But during the day, it's just me all day.
That's good. That's good. It's not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, it kept me out of trouble. That's for sure. I didn't have any time for any trouble.
That's right. Okay, and so you took the band to the Macy's Day Parade. I have this little picture here, and is that your wife that's marching alongside you?
That's my wife, Andrea, and that's right there. The guy behind me was actually my drum instructor at that point. He's my brother-in-law, and but he so that was I had, when we took the band, I had actually just left Gulf Coast High School. What had happened, it was kind of a funny story how it worked out. We applied for the Macy's parade. We had done a few other national parades, and the Macy's was the one we really wanted to try to do next. And we applied my 3rd or 4th year there, and we didn't get in. But then I got a call from the guy who was in charge, and he told us we were the very last application on the desk.
Oh, well.
Basically, he didn't come out and say it, but what he was saying was apply again. Make sure you apply again. So then we applied again the next year, and I had already thought about possibly leaving teaching at that point. I had 2 young kids, and I was working a lot of hours. And I was very happy. I mean, I loved the program, and the program was, I mean, we were firing on all cylinders, and it was everything somebody would ever hope for with a high school band program. We had the support, the kids, the funding, the facility, but again, I was working 70 to 80 hours a week, so it was tough. So we applied. I had then this church job was open that I'm at now, which I know we'll get to later. And I had accepted the church job. A week later, I get a phone call from the Macy's folks saying we got into the Macy's parade for the next year. And I kind of assumed that was going to happen. So I told them that the guy, I had gotten to know the guy a little bit because we had talked a few times the year prior. And I told him, I said, his name was Wes. I said, Wes, I need to tell you right now. I said, I'm going to be resigning and I'm going to be leaving. And then he said, as long as you're actively involved, we're going to honor the invitation with the new person. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So kind of a breath of a sigh of relief. I thought, oh my gosh, I can't leave the program and have them have this Macy's invitation not honored. But it all went great, and we took the band. So I got a chance to go with them, worked with the band a little bit, and it was just a wonderful experience.
Good, good. Well, I have an interesting little video, and this is when they made the announcement that you got into the Macy's. So let me play this video.
Let's do it. It gives me great pride, and it is with great pleasure to announce this morning that for the first time in this school's history, the Gulf Coast High School Shark Marching Band has been selected to represent the great state of Florida and perform in New York City 2015 Macy's. And once we count down, you're going to flick in this lovely gentleman's direction. Are we ready?
Hold on, make sure the cap is off. Don't throw the tube. So all right, ready to go.
It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's have a parade. Are we ready? Yeah! I want to hear it. Are we ready? Yeah! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's awesome.
That was so much fun. That was a great day. We had the superintendent there, and it was really a great day.
Who was the guy announcing? Was the building principal or?
No, he was the gentleman in charge of the Macy's.
Macy's. Okay.
So he is the guy who makes
the
decision.
school.
Yeah, and he was a music major at Stetson University, believe it or not. Played French horn. His name was Wesley.
Oh well.
Yeah, and he was the guy. He was the mover and shaker for the Macy's parade.
Yeah. You could see the enthusiasm and the excitement with the kids. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, they were just great. I mean, the kids were just. We had all those kids packed into that band room. There's 400 kids in that program sitting in that room at one time.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. That's crazy. I have a picture. I want to show this photo here because I have just a couple photos. I had in that opening montage. I had a couple pictures of the marching band, and here's one here. And it's just a lot of kids on the field. I could tell you that. Yeah. I think I mentioned to you when we were talking, we were known as the Titan 200, and we had 200 kids on the field, and we thought that was, and in our region, that was the biggest band, not in the state, but certainly in our region in Western Pennsylvania. It was the biggest band around, and that's amazing.
It was great. A lot of kids, and we used to joke there was only two programs over 300 kids in the whole state, and one of them was in Central Florida, and she was a friend of mine, so we would talk quite often, and we used to joke around that there was a whole set of problems that came along with having that many kids that people didn't understand because they didn't have to deal with just getting kids in and out the door. You have to accommodate for just a lot more time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and this one here is at night, and I see the USA and everything. Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a Veterans Day halftime show that we did probably right around the first week of November, just to celebrate Veterans Day, and that was a real neat picture.
That's great. That's a wonderful, wonderful picture. That's and then I have I actually want to show a video, and I kind of edited this because you had sent me actually 2 shows, and I kind of took a little piece of each to do this video. Let me show this video here. This is the Gulf Coast High School Marching Band under your direction here. Let me see here. vehicles coming on the field. That's impressive.
Yeah, I would say it's like a thundering herd doing on the field. That's for sure. The last one was a superhero show. This is Night at the Movies.
Nice. That's awesome.
Gulf Coast High School Principal, Mr. Joseph Mikulski. The Marching Shark Band is directed by Mr. Steve DeLadurantey.
That salute was always a big deal with the drum majors.
Your festival show.
Yeah, they used to work hard to make sure the kids out.
That's cool.
E and the red bike, Elliot.
This little Jaws thing.
The little shark was better looking for fun.
That's great. James Bond things, stuff everything.
Yeah, that's James Bond that they couldn't come out on fire, but this popular. Yeah, just got his license like before. So excited.
There you go. Let's see. There you go. And just like you said, some little things are such big deals, and that's one of them. Like just getting, how are you going to get all these kids on the field and back off the field? And you have a limited period of time to do it because it's a halftime show. You had, I don't know what it was, 7 or 8 minutes or something. And that was it. I have to tell you one little thing. I was counting. In the picture, I was counting the sousaphones that you had, and I don't know, I made it be a little wrong, but it looked like you had 20 sousaphones. And where I worked, where I was band director for a couple of years, but I was head of the department all the years that I was there. We had the football staff had scouts that would go out and see, the game of the team that we're gonna play the following week. And when they would come back, they'd come to us, the band directors, and they would never say, well, the band was good or the band was not so good or whatever. No, all they did was give us the number of sousaphones they had. Yeah, from that's how we knew what we were going to face the next week with the band, Yeah. But we usually had between maybe 8, sometimes as many as 12. That would have been like the height. But I'd say for the most part, we'd have 8 sousaphones. And I don't know if you know this, but, I started playing the baritone horn in 5th grade, and I played baritone horn. And then when I got into high school, they asked me to switch to sousaphone, Now that time we only had the brass sousaphones, and they were pretty heavy. Sure. And I was at that time, I was a pretty small guy. But that was a challenge, and I played sousaphone for a couple of years and baritone horn, and then I actually learned to play the trombone too, and played trombone in the orchestra. So it was interesting for me in high school as well. But anyhow, what a great a band you had there, and a great program, and putting all that together. It's not an easy task. People don't understand, what it takes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it was a ton of work, but it was very rewarding. And I had mentioned earlier, I had great people with the marching band that would help out. I had really great people, and a lot of those folks I still work with, and we had a good team, and we worked hard. We worked really hard, and the kids kind of figured it out. They're like, look, if we work hard, we're going to achieve, and they loved it. They really loved it.
That's exactly right. And nothing comes easy, nothing comes cheap. You gotta put the time in. Just like you said, when you were learning to play the trumpet, you figured out real quick that if you put the time in, there's going to be rewards.
Absolutely.
And it's the same when you're teaching and you have a group like this. But that's incredible. I give you a lot of credit for that, Steve.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. I love, being an educator myself, I just love to see kids doing something great and doing it well. And being a part of that is just, those kids are so lucky and fortunate to be part of something like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after 10 great years as a marching band director for both Golden Gate High School and Gulf Coast High School, both in Naples, Florida, you became the Director of Music and Worship Arts for North Naples Church, which is still your current employment, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'll be here 12 years coming this July.
So, first of all, let me ask you a question. I mean, you did leave education you didn't have to leave education. I mean, even if you didn't want to do marching band, which is, it's a mammoth job, I understand, you could have done other things in education in the system, right? But you chose to completely leave and do almost like a complete different career. It's still music, but it's a different, not working so much with kids, but working with professionals now.
Right. Yeah. My last year at Gulf Coast, we had just had our second child. And so I had a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old, and I had basically a newborn.
Okay.
It was starting to wear on me because I wasn't seeing the kids awake 3 and 4 days a week. I would leave before they got up, and then I would get home after they were in bed at night. And
Yeah.
it started to really wear on me. And I thought, I've got one chance to do this with them. And so I started looking at, think what can I do? And at the school, the problem, part of it was my fault because we had created this basically monster of a program that needed to be fed all the time, and there was really no backing away because we had such a well-oiled machine with the feeder programs pumping out just hundreds of kids a year, and the parents were great. They were fundraising, and there was an expectation to travel now. And you get in, my last year, I think I got 18 freshman clarinet players, my last year, that was one class. So, but, out of those clarinets, 5 or 6 of them played really, really well. 5 of them played moderately well. And then, 8 of them played okay. But every one of those kids needed help. And that multiply that by all the sections. And so I really started doing some soul searching. What is it I want to do? And that I had been playing trumpet at North Naples Church for a decade at that point. I was just Joe Blow trumpet player. 2 Sundays a month, I'd come in and they'd hand me music. I'd play, and then I'd leave. And my wife had been a member of this church for her whole life, so I had come to this church off and on. Believe it or not, I had played the Christmas Eve service at this church since I was like 14 years old.
Oh, wow!
So that was kind of a running story or joke. Like, I had played it for, at this point now it's 30 or 26 years I've played the Christmas Eve service. So I had deep ties to this church.
Sure, I see.
Well, the job came open, and they asked me to sit on I sat on the hiring board for the new job. We had people coming in that were applying for the job, and I would give my feedback, and and there was just a lot of folks I really didn't think was a right fit for the job. And then one day the pastor leaned over to me and he said, "Why don't you apply for the job?" And I said, his name is Ted. I said, "Ted, I have no desire to leave teaching." And then I started thinking about it. A month went by, 2 months went by, and then I talked to him, and we talked a little bit. And basically I said, I might be interested. And then he said, he stopped the hiring process right there. And I said, I need time to think about it. He held off for 6 months. For 6
Wow.
months, he said, I'm going to let you make a decision. And he waited for 6 whole months.
Wow.
And I just finally, at one point, I said, I think I'm ready to make the move. And I said, I'm going to need to make sure that X, Y, and Z, I can take care of this and that. And because I was only teaching for 15 years, so I was halfway to like that in Florida, you have to teach for 30 years to get that full retirement.
Wow.
So I was halfway there, and I was like, I either have to do this now, because if I go a couple more years, I can't, it's not smart for me to leave.
Right.
But the stars aligned, and it worked out really, really well. It was hard. It was really, really hard leaving the school. It was a very difficult decision, and it was tough.
I'll bet. I know. I can imagine.
Yeah, it was hard. And so anyway, long story short, the job turned out to be incredible, and it's been more than I could ever dream for. And it's been a real blessing.
Well, I have a picture I want to show, and this is it's kind of almost starting with the big picture again, but this is your church, and that's the stage. It's huge, but you also have the pit there. You have, and you're way back at the bottom here conducting, and even into the congregation there. But it's not unusual for you to have full orchestras and different configurations, and sometimes it's a Naples brass, sometimes it's the hard drive horns. I mean, you have all kinds of different things that you do there in concerts and programs besides the services every Sunday or whatever you do for the church.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a group that we do in December every year, and we affectionately call it the Naples 200, and it turned into the Naples 300 over the last couple of years.
Looks like.
But one of the things that when I left teaching, I really wanted to continue to involve students in the music ministry here at the church. I thought that was important, and because I had all the contacts at the schools, still all my friends are still the teachers at all the different schools, and I had run the summer camps for years. So we started incorporating particular Sundays where we would involve youth, and that's developed over the years. I think we've done that now 10 or 11 years in a row, and it's been a huge success. And every December we bring in 250 to 300 kids, and we play, for all the services, and it's very popular with the high school and middle school kids in town.
Sure. Wonderful. Yeah, that's great. Gives them another opportunity too.
Well, that's it. And they get excited because they get to play in a big group, and they're on TV, and we film it. And we make the joke. We have this particular donut shop in Naples that's very, very popular. It's actually in Bonita, that we have donuts every week for the volunteer musicians and whatnot. So every year I order 50 dozen donuts for that particular Sunday.
Wow.
And the kids just polish every one of them off.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They eat and they're coming back with 6-7 donuts a piece, and they eat every single one of them. And so it's been funny because they all ask about the donuts. We're going to have the donuts, and it's part of that
becomes the part of the draw.
That's right.
I know kids. I know how they are. That's right. That's so true.
You had mentioned the concerts and the different configurations, and every week, one of my kind of, I don't want to say a goal, but one of my things that I wanted to do on Sunday mornings was I want folks, when they come to church, there's a lot of reasons why some folks come to church, and everybody has different reasons. But I wanted them to be excited about what they were going to see and hear from music that week. I didn't want them to come in and say, well, it's going to be the same 3 people presenting. We're going to sing a hymn out of the hymnal. There's going to be an organ postlude and a vocal soloist, and I wanted, not that there's anything wrong with that. And there's some churches that do that beautifully with, if they have beautiful, wonderful musicians. But I wanted them to come in and be excited, not only for the message, for the fellowship, but also what is the music for today, and like this coming week, it's going to be a small men's choir with, brass players. And then 2 weeks from now, it's going to be a string quartet, and just everything you can imagine, large orchestras to jazz bands to dynamic soloists, just so that it's fresh every single week, something different, fresh arrangements.
Amazing. Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, I want you to talk to me, tell me a little bit about Naples Brass. Naples Brass, I have this picture here, and that's the Naples Brass group there. Tell us how you started this ensemble.
Sure. My first year here, I hadn't played trumpet really much in the 15 years prior to me starting here. I mean, I had played as a teacher, but every band director in the schools jokes around that they don't get to play their instrument as much as they want just because they're so busy. And I played often, but not what I needed to be playing. So I kind of came here and I had to rebuild. I kind of had to rebuild my trumpet playing just because I hadn't been playing much in a long time. So I started practicing quite a bit again and started playing more. Then I started playing out in town more, doing more gigs and things. And, my joke was I just wanted to get back to the player I was, before I started teaching, when I was really playing a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, I started playing with some other groups, and then I saw a brass group that was very good that had this configuration, and I kind of watched them and I said, well, I can do that. We can do that. I've got friends that I can call, and we can make that group tomorrow, and that's basically kind of how it started. I took the same instrumentation that they had, which worked really well, and I put a group together for a Sunday church service. This was about 10 years ago. And we did all the music for Sunday. It was 7 brass players and a rhythm section. So there was 2 percussionists, a guy that kind of played some bass and guitar, and then a piano player. And people loved it. Well, then I thought, well, okay, well, let's do it again. So we did it like 8 weeks later, and then it came into, well, let's do a concert. So then we put a concert together, and then it was very popular, and then we started doing more and more concerts, and that turns into a week long of concerts, and then it turned into, we got hooked up with this local PBS station, which now airs all of our concerts with the group. And
yeah,
fast forward, we did 3 full-length CDs, and then we actually played on 3 different other solo CDs. We were an ensemble on 3 other folks' CDs, and it's been a lot of fun. Which it started out as everybody lived in Naples except for one person. One trumpet player lived in Gainesville. Well, over the years, people have moved for different reasons. You mentioned earlier, like Bob Powers moved to Virginia. Everybody has so much fun with that group. They all fly in for that 10 days in December now, and still, because they want to be part of that particular group.
Yeah, and that's interesting. That's great. I have this picture too. This was one of the Christmas programs with the Naples Brass, I believe, right?
It is. It's probably from this year or last year, but that's our sanctuary, our church sanctuary, and we have a fantastic just production, lighting, sound, audio, live stream. We've got a really dynamic lighting director who does a really good job. Just, when we do concerts, it's similar to what I, did with the marching band. I wanted to kind of touch all the senses. I wanted to make sure that the lighting, enhances the music and vice versa. And it's a full production where the music's got to be great, the lighting's got to be great, the staging, the flow of the concert, that kind of thing.
I have a little video of the Naples Brass. It's a Christmas reel, I believe. Let me play this for the audience.
It's the most wonderful time of the
Wow.
That's a fun group. That group's a lot of fun.
It definitely looks like it would be fun. Yep. And was that your wife singing, Andrea?
That's my wife. Yep. She was also born and raised in Naples, and she's an elementary music teacher, and she teaches at the school here that's associated with the church.
Okay.
And then she taught in the Collier County Public Schools for a decade before that.
Oh, nice. So she's a music educator as well. I didn't know that.
She is, yeah, and she's this vocalist with that particular group, and then she sings. We have a whole bunch of different groups that we take out and use for different things and different events. And she's a singer with the rock and roll band as well, and she's very talented. Yeah,
that's a wonderful voice. So let's talk about the hard drive horns. I have this picture here. This is another group. It's similar in the way that there's a lot of brass players in there, but you also have sax and I'm sure rhythm section. And so tell us about how this came about.
This group, it's interesting. The gentleman that we traveled with to the Macy's Parade and to California and Philadelphia with the marching band, his name was Stacy, and Stacy was a very, very dynamic musician, and he was a former high school band director in Alabama. And his program was the cream of the crop in Alabama. They did the Macy's Parade 3 or 4 times, the Rose Bowl. They went all over the country, and I got to know him after our first trip with him. We became friends, so we talked a lot during the year. And he was older, and one day he starts talking to me about this. He called it a horn band. He said, "Did I ever tell you about my horn band I used to have?" I said, "No, you didn't." Well, turns out he got out of college and he wanted to be a recording star, so he put together a brass group and did a bunch of records at Muscle Shoals. This is back in the, I want to say, like the late 60s, early 70s.
Mhm.
And so out of that, he created his own group, and it was basically, it was a rhythm section with, you know, a trombone player, a trumpet player, and a sax player. And
Okay.
they did, you know, the greatest hits of that era in the past 20, 30 years. And they became very, very popular. They played for a couple of presidents' inaugurations. And so the more we talked about it, the more I said, Stacy, that sounds like a lot of fun. And he said, yeah. So that was basically the idea that kind of got planted. And I saw a group here in Naples that was playing like that. And the same thing happened. I went, I think we can do that. Like we have enough, I have enough friends that I could call to make that happen. And I started making phone calls, and all of a sudden, you know, we formed a group, started playing a lot around town, and that was about 9 years ago.
Well, I have a video I'd like to show of the hard drive horns. Let me show this little excerpts from different things here.
I've been waiting such a long time. Oh, the day, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm just gonna keep on counting until you're mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, come on, baby. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbyes? You think I'd crumble? You think I lay down and die? No, not I will survive.
Wow. Talk about high energy, huh?
That
And
group's
you
a
were
lot of
playing in
fun.
the trumpet section, right?
Yes.
Yep, that was you playing in the trumpet section. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Most of those, it's interesting. People don't realize it until I say something in the concert, but a lot of those folks that are on that stage, I think there's 14 or 15 musicians, 80% of them play at the church here on a regular basis.
Okay. Wow.
So it's kind of a neat and like it's a kind of a family affair. One of the auxiliary percussionists is a brother-in-law of mine. One of the female singers is my wife. Another female singer is my cousin. My dad's playing percussion, so it's fun.
Almost a family affair there, huh?
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a picture of you playing trumpet. And I have a video of you playing. Let me find this here. And this is you playing solo on the piccolo trumpet. Let me play this. And I have to tell you, I saw this and I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it was a piccolo trumpet, but I never remembered seeing a piccolo trumpet with 4 valves. Is that something newer, or did I miss the boat somewhere?
They've been around for a while. Some
Yeah.
do, some don't.
Okay.
It opens up the lower end of the horn, and then it allows you a lot of alternate fingerings to kind of play things a little bit better in tune.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't familiar with the 4 valve, piccolo. So this is nice. There you go. That's really up there.
Yeah, we
Very
try to.
nice.
There's some type of trumpet solo almost on a weekly basis, for sure, every 2 weeks at the church in some capacity, whether it's a prelude, a postlude, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's great to hear you, and you cover all bases, which is amazing, and do everything well too. Um, so I wanted to just I have a I wanted to ask you real quick about this patriotic concert that you have. Let me I think I have a picture here, just right here. You're conducting, and I see the flag back there. And I don't have any particular video of this, but I wanted you to just mention something about this patriotic concert that you have. It's an annual thing?
It is. So we
Yeah.
call it a salute to veterans. So we do it right around Veterans Day every year. And it's Naples Brass that does this particular group or this concert. And it's a very, very popular concert every year. So we do a mixture of patriotic and Americana type music, and then we have a big mass choir, about 100 people at the end that sing 2 pieces with Naples Brass, and it's a lot of fun. A very, very popular concert. It's always packed, and we do that. PBS picks that one up as well. But
Yeah.
the secret is of when that concert is. It's all determined by the Naples Philharmonic schedule, because a couple of the guys that are in Naples Brass play in the Naples Phil as well. So once I get their schedule in May, then I start working around figuring out when the open days are and all that.
I see.
To make that happen. But it's a great concert we do every November.
Yeah. And that timpanist that played on the piece that you did, was he part of the Naples Phil too? Played in the Naples Phil?
Yeah, that's John Evans, and John is the timpanist of the Naples Phil. He's been there for 30 years. He also plays, that was him playing with the trumpet solo, but he also plays in Naples Brass. He plays at church every Sunday, and he's very, very talented. And I worked with him. He worked with me at when I was at Gulf Coast High School quite a bit, kind of almost an assistant band director with the marching band, and just very talented.
Okay. I appreciate you doing that veterans concert too. That's wonderful. Let me see here. I have this picture here. This is kind of funny. Tell me about this picture.
This is interesting. This is the Christmas Naples Brass concert, and I mentioned earlier, I'm always concerned about the flow of the concert, and I want to make sure that there's some humor in there. When people leave a concert, I want them to talk about, just how things were beautiful, things were exciting, things were funny. So there's always some humor in there. And Kelly Utterback, you had mentioned her name earlier. She's playing piano, and she's just incredibly talented. And every year we do a solo that features her. And a couple years ago, she did kind of an arrangement that she put together of Sleigh Ride that had, an auxiliary percussionist and then a drummer and a couple of people that involved with her.
Okay.
Well, we were doing what we call like a run out gig one night where we were playing at a country club, the same group. And for some reason, the guy that was supposed to play the slapstick in Sleigh Ride either didn't want to play it or something was going on. So John, who you saw him on timpani earlier, he's playing sleigh bells there. He says, "Hey, come play the slapstick part." Okay. I mean, how many times have I heard Sleigh Ride? I've conducted it 50 times. I've heard it 1,000 times. I taught kids how to play the slapstick. When I was teaching, I know how to play the slapstick. When we get to the part where it's supposed to crack, well, John had a really nice slapstick that took 2 hands holding both sections of it. Well, I had only used the ones that like you use in high school band where you just use one hand and you slap it and it pops.
Right.
So I went to do it and it didn't work. It just laid there. And now all of a sudden the band starts to laugh. Everybody's laughing because and then I did it again. So it became a running joke that I didn't, I was ruining the piece because I didn't know how to play the stupid slapstick. So fast forward 2 or 3 years, we did the same piece for this particular concert, and we told the story, and then I made the world's largest slapstick, and it brought the house down.
Oh, that's funny. That's what this picture is right there.
Right, and then what you don't see is like the third time I hit it, the top of the slapstick broke off in pieces. And the audience starts laughing. Like you hear this roar of laughter, and I don't know what's going on. And I see the slapstick a piece of it crashes by my feet.
Oh, that's funny. That's a great story. I love it. And I have another picture I want to show you too, and that's this one here. I said, is that real or is that AI?
That's a real camel.
It's a real camel, huh?
We do a big praise band. We have multiple services at the church, and one of our services on Sunday is a contemporary service, and we have a rock and roll band that plays for that group. And it's a lot of the same people that we use for a lot of different things. So a lot of the guys that you see in the rock and roll hard drive horns also play in our contemporary praise band. And we do a big Christmas concert every year with that particular group. Very, very popular. And we do a live nativity outside. And so we bring the camel inside, and there's a little, like I said, a little shtick that we do with the camel and the trainer, and everybody loves it.
We're doing Aida, the opera.
There you go. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's wild. Where do you get is it a local farm that has the camel, or the zoo, or what?
There's a place out in Golden Gate Estates. It's kind of a animal sanctuary, and he has all kinds of exotic animals.
Oh wow! I don't live too far from there.
If you see a camel in town, it's his, because he's the only one for like a couple hundred miles that owns a camel.
That's wild. That's great. Well, so Steve, I have one last video, and before I play this, I just want to mention something about the technology that you use at the church is incredible. It's always the latest and greatest. That's why I said, is that camel AI? But you're always using the latest and greatest technology, the video, even the audio, whether you're doing, a soloist or you're doing a full orchestra, whatever it is. Then you have, the screens up there where people can see, because the church itself holds about 1,000 people, right? It's pretty big.
Yeah, about probably 850.
850, okay. And so it's nice having those screens up there because they can see a lot of different things, and you have a lot of different shots. And so you have all the finest technology that you're using. And I saved this one video for the last video because I think it's very, I've never seen in a church this kind of technology and using, for a performance. So maybe you want to say something about that. I don't know. Is there, or, we're going to see this one with the Grinch. Do you want to say anything about that before we play it, or you want to wait till we're...
Well, when the pandemic happened back in 2020, we were trying to be real creative about how to bring quality music into people's homes without a lot of folks weren't traveling, they weren't going places, and so we started doing a lot of filming of stuff like this. And then the first one we did was, it was okay but we had no idea what we were doing. And then we did a lot of them, so that each one got better and better and better and better. Then once the pandemic was over, we continued doing them just as, I don't want to say entertainment, but we would do them so that we could send them out to people to build excitement about the church and the music program and the group that was playing. And it became this thing where people just loved them. We started really getting creative with how we were doing it. We were projecting the music up on a big screen inside the room, so people didn't have to have music stands, and it was a lot of fun. But this one we interacted. We took the actual old Grinch cartoon and tried to put some of those actual scenes in there, and then recreate what the characters were doing while playing the music. And this is an arrangement written for this particular group.
Okay, all right. Let me show the video. Let's see right here.
One, two, three, four.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a him. You're You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Just face the music, you're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. A foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. Ooh, yeah. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between you, I'd take the seasick crocodile. Seasick crocodile. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stink, stink.
Awesome.
Welcome
Yeah, that was
Christmas while we stand.
This was one of the fastest dogs that we
And
added
you
in
have.
the last minute.
And that was your wife singing the song there. Huh?
It was, yes.
Terrific. Yeah, terrific voice, and I love it. It's nice. That is amazing. I mean, I'm really Steve. It's been great having you on the program. And like I said this before, everything you do is terrific. Excellent. Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you do, and education, and those years you spent with the kids. That was great. You're playing, and you played several concerts with me. I appreciate that. And you now know all the musicians to call in Naples. That's for sure. Anytime I need somebody, I can just make one phone call to you and get everybody I need. That's awesome. So you've had a great career, and you're really in the early stages, I'd say. You have a long way to go. So you have a lot of music ahead of you, which is great. That's awesome.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I really give you a lot of credit, and I appreciate you taking your time to be on the program. I know and anybody that sees your program here knows you're a busy guy. None of that happens while you're just sitting on a chair eating an ice cream cone. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right.
All right. All right. Well, you take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you, Vito. I really appreciate it, and it was my pleasure.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon, Steve. Thank you.
All right. Have a great one.
You too. And there you go. Another episode of Memories of a Musician with Steve DeLadurantey. Excellent musician, educator, music educator, high school band director, and trumpet player, conductor, director. He does it all. It was wonderful having and seeing him again too. So looking ahead to next Wednesday, February 25th, be sure to tune in to meet my special guest, Benny Benack Jr. Of the three Bennys spanning the past 75 years, Benny Benack Jr. is the Benny who has been around for most of those 75 years and who has had the unique experience of being on both sides of the Benack father-son legacy. Though Benny spent a 45-year career in banking as senior vice president of Dollar Bank, he never missed an opportunity to play with his legendary father, Benny Benack Sr., and the Dodge Kids, which he eventually led, or his son, Benny III, where they performed together at New York City jazz clubs like Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola and Smalls, Vic's in Las Vegas, the Jazz Corner on Hilton Head Island, and most notably, Blue Llama Jazz in Ann Arbor, where they recorded a live album that climbed the jazz charts in 2025 and snuck in at 100 of the top 100 jazz albums of 2025. The podcast will be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Benny Benack Jr. on Memories of a Musician at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, February 25th. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and you have a great evening.